Hello, everyone. We are live yet again, and this is going to be one of my authors' chats of the week. And as I let this platform go in and kind of let everybody know that I am out and about, I'll keep my eye out for my co-host and sending invite momentarily. Let me see if it works. Perfect. We'll get things rocking and rolling in just a moment. We'll be talking about books, writing, publishing, and everything in between. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Hi there, I can hear you. Hang on, I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit. I don't know why my camera's not on. Let's see.
It automatically does this with everybody, so you have to kind of figure out how to flip it around, and I don't know how to advise that.
Let's see. Yeah, I have only ever done. I did a live. When everybody thought that. I think can I only go live if I have a weird effect on what's going on here? Oh no. Okay. How about that? How about that? Nope, that's the wall. Do you see an image or is it just like
Not
the
yet.
circle?
I just see your icon.
That's so strange. So there's like a camera. Anyway, I've done one live before where remember when everyone thought that TikTok was gonna like the end of TikTok was like January 18th or something. There was like we're gonna stream all night authors thing going, and so I logged into that for a few minutes, but it turned on automatically.
Yeah, I know on mine there's like three dots towards the bottom where it kind of gives you options. One of them is flip the haha. There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect. See, you got it. Okay, how did you do this? Because every week this happens to whomever joins, and I think maybe just an automatic set.
Yeah, so there's a camera icon at the bottom by like where you would type a comment next to it, and it has like an X, like a no camera sign. And so then I clicked on that, and then it takes you into this thing where it looks like your camera is on, but it doesn't count until you click save. So that's all. So in the moment, you're like, I don't get it. I see the camera. Why isn't it there?
Okay.
And then
I've actually made a note for that because I was like, I need to figure out how to explain it. But my features might look different than your features because that is one of those odd things about this platform is not everybody gets the same features all at once sometimes. And so things change. But welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm fine. I'm glad you're here. We'll be talking about books momentarily, but kind of how this goes, I don't know if you've ever listened to any of my lives before. If anybody joins and kind of posts kind of bookish comments or questions in the feed, I try to like make note of them. Now, depending on how someone joins and I guess who they're following or how they're routing in, I may or may not see all of them. So if I'm kind of missing things, feel free to make note or point them out because I just may actually not be seeing them. And outside of that, it's pretty casual and conversational, and we will get things going by letting you introduce yourself and what you write.
All right. Well, I'm AS Miyasaki, and I write. I actually write in a couple.
Whoop!
A spam call come in there. I mainly write in science fiction. The current series that I'm working on that has one book out so far is a space western coming of age story, but I would say it's YA compatible, but upper YA is where I would feel comfortable recommending it. I don't think I would recommend it to a 12-year-old. Mainly for like language and violence. There's not too much else in there, but I think I would have probably read it when I was 8. But I just think I wouldn't be comfortable recommending it for younger than that.
I understand that. I have what I cater as a new adult series. The first book reads predominantly like a YA, but the other three, because they are darker and deal with some more mature themes, I just personally am not comfortable catering it YA. That's why I bumped it up to new adult. In general, because the series as a whole has certain vibes. Now, has a 12-year-old read it? Yes. But it's not, everybody has different reading maturities and comfort levels. And if you're a parent, your comfort level may be different than someone else. So that's why I just kind of am a little cautious when it comes to things like that. But I do have a YA series for younger YA as well. So I totally get that.
Yeah. And then I saw that you are mainly a fantasy author, right?
I am. I write high fantasy of a variety of kinds, from, again, the young adult to new adult, all the way to the adult side of things. Outside of my YA series, a lot of my others kind of fall into the dark fantasy second world dark fantasy, but my YA one is definitely family friendly, clean fantasy. It's full of quest adventures, and it's a lot of fun too. So
Oh, awesome.
a little bit of everything, because there's so many people out there in the world, and you never know who's interested in what.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your first debut book. What inspired you to write a story? I feel like that's always an interesting way to begin these things.
So I'm not sure what inspired this particular story exactly, but the sort of impetus that got me to start writing one down was actually that I got really frustrated watching like Walking Dead, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to know if I can keep track of all these moving parts or not. Which is maybe not a great reason to write it, but I was just sort of noodling around on my phone. I ended up writing about 50,000 words of what is right now it's a book that ended up getting pushed way down the line. So this is following the main character when he's fully an adult, and also, again, like you mentioned, part of the reason why I'm not comfortable sticking it in as YA. I say upper YA, and I say that even with a word of caution. I've got like a caution page on it. And I wound up sort of making increasingly more detailed notes and including like whole passages that I was writing so I could keep track of things for myself. That's where the glossary comes from. There's a substantial glossary at the end of the book. And I realized like I should probably just start this at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like this is sort of like the fun part the fun part that first came to mind. But, at this point, there's like this whole other situation, the whole beginning of the story, really. And, it was getting to where I was going to have like a lot of like flashbacks and stuff. So I ended up backing up to where the main character, Ferritin, is like really the beginning of his story. So it does make more sense there anyway.
Hey, I know, I get that. I've not heard anybody so far start with that exact route, but there were people who there was some kind of aspect of maybe towards the end of a story that they liked, or they write a book and then they want to go backwards and do like a prequel, independent book or trilogy or something because they realize there's more to the story, especially the origin side of things. So it is kind of neat that you kind of jotted down 50,000 words is no small.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, pause. I'm going to double back for a book or two. So how long do you think your series is going to be now that you at least have a couple books?
Yeah, it's so the format of the form of the whole series. So my background is in music composition. My master's degree is in music composition. And so I tend to think of things more in terms of the way musicians think of form, I think. And I am planning to do a novel and then a collection of, originally it was going to be shorts. And then I realized now as I'm approaching 70,000 words now into what's going to be book 2 of shorts. And I'm only about 3.5 stories in that it's not going to be shorts. They're going to be shorter, but more like even like novella length. And so I might need to break that up. So depending on what I do here, sorry, I'm babbling, but it's going to be a novel and then a collection and then a novel and then a collection and then a novel. And I figure I will do that. Originally the plan was 5 to 7 books. And I was hoping for 5, but I think I've been looking at how I have the back end planned out. And I think maybe 7 to 9 is more realistic, especially if I have to break up some of the collections, which are supposed to be sort of like case files. I've mentioned this before, but I'm kind of taking my inspiration from the original Sherlock Holmes series, where you have the novel and then the shorts and then the novel. Except the thing is, I can't rely on I can't just say, and then they went to the Thames, because they're like they're not on this planet. They're somewhere else. So everything needs to be built out.
That's true, and I do see a comment there. Novellas and short novels also are thumbs up. I love them. I mean, I have a whole series that's just novellas, so I do like some of the shorter works. Yeah. And there are more and more authors utilizing kind of formats like what you're saying, where you have this I feel like there needs to be a new word versus just series, because series sounds maybe a little too linear, but these series where you have a varying combinations of full length and shorter works that have some kind of order that people are writing and utilizing as a way to tell their story. So it's not just novel. It's novel, like you said, novella, or novel and a couple shorts. And it is kind of interesting that we as authors and writers get to tell our story in a variety of ways and play around with how we take readers on our journeys, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, I know Robert Collins from around. Hello. I just wanted to say hi. Somebody is mad upstairs. Sorry.
There was a comment from Robert saying from Firefly verse, maybe. Ooh.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you have like the Grisha verse and all these kind of people utilizing that concept of a verse, which does make a little bit more sense, especially when people do spin-offs and again. Backstory novels and jumping thousands of years in the future, depending on if you're a high fantasy or space operas or stuff like that. It's wild. So it's a lot of fun. So that's really, it sounds like you have a lot to keep you busy over the next few years.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while for sure that I'm gonna be working on this. Just especially with I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, almost 8 and 6 now, but they need a lot of attention still. They're still really little. That's why I'm in the basement right now, because it's not quite bedtime yet. So.
Well, thank you again for hanging out with me at this time then. But yes, I know talking with so many authors who have kids and finding that time, it speaks to your dedication to this interest of yours, because there are so many things that could keep you and distract you and, pull you away from writing, and, kids, families, other hobbies, work, etc., so on. So the fact that you're still finding time to write the story does speak to the fact that you are passionate about what you're working on.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a passion project, that's for sure. I think just going back to like the length of things, I think I'll be able to get away with the shorter stories once I have the universe built out more. Mm-hmm. And so then at that point I would just have to decide, like, will it be too weird to suddenly introduce a different format that hadn't been here, in any of the sort of establishing things. But
I don't know. I mean, I've seen people change things up in different times. So, especially, you're self-published? I mean, I am. So I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people who I talk to self-published are, again, taking advantage of the fact that we aren't restrained to what has been traditional, as a lot of tribe publishers kind of keep their readers more or less traditional, unless they become one of these supersized authors, and then those authors can do whatever they want. But for indie, we can do what we want, and
that's the biggest benefit.
Yeah, it is. There's pros and cons of everything, and like being able to, have that freedom, being able to control, the quality of your product, projects. That's really nice. On the other hand, there's the marketing and advertising, finding the readers, micromanaging, and a lot of micromanaging. So,
and a quick perusal of my wall or grid or whatever we call it here would show that I am not I am not the one at that. I'm so bad at it. I've just recently been on a 6-week hiatus from vertical video, I think. I came back today because I was like, I gotta post something to let people know that we're doing this tonight.
I do exist. Yeah, you have to find what's healthy for you and, your well-being, your lifestyle. And I know when it comes to marketing and advertising, there's a lot of things that could demand your time. And you just have to choose to what extent you think you find the value in it, and you don't want to be, constantly on, like you said, the vertical screen or the horizontal screen if you're on the YouTube or wherever it is. But I definitely get it. That's why I like batching videos when it comes to my regular plans. Batch them, and then I repurpose them on all the things, and vice versa. Any stills I do, I try to repurpose, because I'm like, work smarter, not harder. Man, that's
a good idea. Yeah, to just get a bunch of them out at once.
Yeah, and just prep them, and then just whenever I want to, just put a couple posts out there. I also see a comment popped up says you could try to sell your short stories to a magazine. That is true.
Oh yeah, that's true. And like tie into the main series, but not published in it. They might, because I know they don't want anything to do with anything once it's already been published. But if this is like a spin-off short.
Yeah. And if you are a person who starts getting into newsletters, a lot of people use them as readers magnets to say, hey, sign up for my newsletter, you get a free short story, you get a sample of the world.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hook them. So that's what I've done is I have 3 different short stories and then a few samples of my first in series books as kind of my introduction to my newsletter to see if people like my stuff long enough that they want to hang out. For more permanent measures, then that's great.
Right. You know what? I know that magazines still exist because somebody randomly sent me a copy of Forbes to like my name. I don't know why. I was like, what is this?
They do exist. Most of them are online, which I respect that for the trees. But I am still old-fashioned. Like, I prefer my books print. I prefer my magazines print. You know, as soon as someone switches over to the digital media only, then I'm like, I will be honest, my chances that I'm actually going to read you at that point drop down dramatically. That's just me. I like the physical copy in front of me.
Yeah, I think that's... I have a hard time reading off of a screen. For a while, I had, like, one of the original Kindles, and that was kind of... all right, but like just like the tapping the pages. I know I'm better at paper.
Yes.
I think I'm trying to figure out how to get my printer to like print in such a way that I can. I don't know. It's not called collating. It'd be like 2 up.
Yeah.
Print 2 up so that I can staple my draft pages together and like edit them. Like
well, I saw this, and then we'll wrap back around. And we'll talk about your characters in a moment. But I saw this as super neat. I don't know if this is worth it though, because I am an artist as well, but I do not do cover art, like totally different type of art. But map making is something I've done in the past, and I would like to do again. But what I like to do, and I'll show you, I'm working on a world map for a future series. I like to hand draw it, but then trying to get it onto the computer in a way that can then be translated into a future book. That's the issue. I did find out that someone has created these notebooks. I think it's more the fact that it has a special stylus on it, but it reads how you draw, so you can put any type of paper in it, and you can actually have your physical copy, but it automatically puts it in a digital form and uploads it for you, so then you can have your digital version. I was like, oh,
I think I've seen advertisements like SpawnCon for that, where it's like the pen somehow it is a grid on the paper and it sends it to the thing.
Yeah, so
I need to make maps, but the problem is all of the map making brushes and brush sets and templates and stuff are really heavy for fantasy worlds, and if not fantasy, more for like I don't know how to describe it, like that pixel art, like top-down Stardew Valley style I've seen a little bit of too. But like what I kind of need is like future Google Maps. I don't know how to make it look like that. I guess I just need to use the line tool and like suck it up and do it. But that's like I have so many other side quests for this, and like right now I'm like I just have to write the stupid book.
I definitely understand. And when it comes to, I mean, I'm fantasy, but outside of my first series, which was the one that has my first map that I drew, the other 2 series I've never made maps for because one deals with Nordic cosmology. That's 9 worlds in and around a 3-dimensional tree.
Wow.
And then the other one is a magical multiverse, so I'm dealing with all sorts of worlds and other dimensions. So I'm like, you can't really capture that easily visually. So it was a challenge. I have an upcoming special edition for my Viking series, and working with an artist, I'm like, I need you to do the impossible. Make a map of 9 worlds and explain this thing. And he did it, and it's going to be really cool. But I was just like, because I had no idea. So it's possible. You just have to get a little creative when it comes to thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, okay, so with your series, who are some of your main characters? Do you just have one that you follow? Are you a wide cast of number of characters? Like, tell me about.
So it's it's a pretty small cast of characters. I think one actually RSK there had said that it was the world was big enough to support a space opera, but I always hesitate to call it a space opera because it's really a small story. I just wanted to build out this world to put it in. And so there's the main character, Ferretin Down. He starts the series as an 11-year-old. This is a little grim. He wakes up with a concussion in an acid swallet. A swallet is just a word that I looked up and fell in love with for sinkhole.
Yeah.
And hello, Gertie. Gertie is the cat. The cat is here. And so he has to, it's actually a very short part of the story, but he's got to get out of there, and then he's sort of recuperating from that. Hey, Soraya. He's got to recuperate from that during the rest of the story. He ends up making friends with a mysterious stranger named Ed, or he names the stranger Ed because they actually have such a long name that he doesn't, he just gives it one character, so it's actually not Ed short for Edward, it's Ed, the character Ed in the trade common, which is the language he knows. But it works because like it fits the vibe sort of. And then there's a doctor, as there must be, who helps out, named Clade Thurnan. And beyond that, there are some baddies. There are these gangsters, the Kiadi Sen, that are the reason that he wound up in there. His brother, Sigarun Down, who kind of got them into the mess in the first place, and is presumed dead at the start of the story. A lot of people who kind of predeceased the beginning of the story, actually, they end up popping up later.
Oh, interesting.
There is an Artheri. So the Artheri, the character Ed is a species called the Threllans, and then they are related very closely to another species called the Artheri. There's an Artheri special, an Artheri advanced special marshal that shows up looking for something, and that he believes Ed is in possession of.
Oh, okay.
So,
I like that. And let me see. Sorry, I saw a couple comments, and I from back here. I'll make note. One's talking about a scanning software that does that. Talking about going back to the map making and trying to figure out how to digitalize it. I think Model Railroader uses.
I should write that down.
I know, that's what I was like. Yeah, make sure you make these notes because that's what I do. I do it every time because I learn so much stuff from people. And and I see you have a fan popping in there saying Ed was arguably her favorite or their favorite.
That's my buddy Soraya. Hey, Soraya.
There you go. And so that's really neat. I love that. I love when fans pop in. And fellow bookish people, we love them. But no, that's really kind of cool. And so how did you decide that Ed was going to be your main character? You said you wrote, the story that's going to come, you're going to publish later on in the series, but how did you come up with Ed proper?
So what ended up happening was basically in that initial 50,000 words or so of the 5th or 7th novel, the book, which is a novel, I guess is how I should put that. The Ferretin is an adult man. He's doing his own business. He's minding his own things. And essentially these sort of ideas that Ed seeds in him as he's a young person are constantly recurring. And he's remembering stories and lessons and things like that. And so I thought, this is too many flashbacks. This person is his, who acted in Loco Parentis for him for his whole life. Was just too big of a character to not have those stories, but also too irritating to have it be a flashback upon a flashback forever. So what ended up happening was I started making notes about, backfilling notes, this is what happened when they were doing this, and this is how this came to be, and this is why he has this now. And we all make those in Canva, those trope image carousels.
Well, I've seen a lot of
people. The little arrows that come out, and it's why choose, or what, I don't actually know too many tropes, but things like that, or dragons, or one of mine, I never know what to put for there. I put coming of age story. I put science fiction and space western. But one that I have always thought I would like to put, but I don't know in terms of like if it would be okay with IP, is Clementine Will Remember That. Which is sort of a reference to the old Walking Dead video game where anytime something happened, like the thing would pop up. Clementine was a secondary character. She was sort of, but it would pop up that says Clementine will remember that. And so there was just so many of those stacking up that eventually I wound up with a lot of the story outlined and timelined out anyway. And then that's when I went back. So Ed is sort of Faradin's parent, acting parent, not actually his parent, but yeah.
That is cool. It's fun to see how like stories reveal themselves to the writers, because certain people are very linear, other people are very sporadic. You know, it's just interesting to see how the story kind of develops over time. Have you noticed now that you've been kind of working on writing your debut one, written your 50,000 words that's coming up, and now working somewhere in between, how do you kind of, or has your story writing process changed over the last little bit?
I think I have gotten better about, hi Gertie Cat. I think I've gotten better about writing clear outlines. I leave a lot less, I always talk about future me, that like there's a lot less things that I leave as a problem for future me. Because I have now run into too many problems for future me.
Okay, yep.
So that was something that I think I learned pretty heavy in the first book, because there were like some sections that I had left with like a note that was like, I think this could happen here. And then I want to get this down over here first. And then going back to it, I was like, yeah, and now we need to like connect these two ends together. And holy, hello.
Well, yeah, it is wild. Right now I'm kind of going through and I'm doing what I call a read-through. I just finished a first draft and I'm reading through the chapters from start to finish, just making sure everything kind of flows well. And while I'm tightening up and fixing a couple of things here and there, working on a Greek myth-based retelling. So still kind of verifying the myths and like the deep dives of some of these things. And every time I do something, I learn more things, which I'm like, ooh, do I add this in now? But that means now, before I publish the first book, which technically has already been edited by a professional editor, do I go back and tweak things now, or do I just go with it?
Yeah.
You're
so
always
you
kind
said,
of like
you said
playing
that
with the story.
so your series is following like a character too, right? As they grow up, is that what you were saying?
This books that I've just written are a duology. It's going to be based on a Greek myth, and it's a retelling. And I follow this one mythological character. Her name's Atalanta, arguably one of the only, if not the only, female heroes of Greek myth. And from childhood all the way to the end of her story, following her. So there's definitely, the evolution of her and big time, changes throughout her life as the story goes. So, but it's interesting because she's connected with so many other characters. Some of them are very famous characters of Greek myths: Heracles, Jason, Argonauts, Orpheus, who goes down to the underworld, and etc. Theseus, Minotaur, and stuff like that. So she's linked to all these people in the myth, and so it is kind of fun doing the research and be like, okay, I'm going to make notes. Oh, I want to make sure I add this in. Oh, this person's related to this one. It's like lots of genealogical maps I've made for this purpose. Now, not all my books are like this. I do have my retelling side, and I do have the side of books that are just genuinely my own stories. But when it comes to retellings, there's a lot of research that goes into that. Did you do any research for your book? Anything that was kind of interesting that you didn't expect you would research?
So I have maybe said this on here once or twice, but I say it kind of in my own head a lot. This book it gets labeled as a sci-fi fantasy a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think it reads like a sci-fi fantasy, but I think it's actually probably pretty square in sci-fi, but if it's closer to anything, it's actually closer to hard science fiction.
Ooh,
So
interesting. Okay, yeah, that would be
I have a background in physics, and so I drew on all of the physics power that I had to try to, sorry, that was too loud. I'm sorry. I got excited. To try to make sure that things were obviously not functional or actually coherent scientifically, because if that were the case, I would, be launching rockets or something. I wouldn't be, writing stories, but, plausible. And, so there is actually a lot of real science that went into the book. Please do not turn off my live with your nose. And so yeah, actually, I see Soraya mentioned planetary sciences there, and that is something that I didn't have much background in. I haven't done astronomy yet. I did astronomy. I haven't done advanced astronomy, which is where I would learn this. And so I actually had to figure out how to operate the models and
wow.
Tidal forces actually play a really important role, mostly in the beginning of the book. And so I had to make sure they were plausible. I mean, I'm not saying you cannot crunch numbers and come up with what I have in there, I don't think, but I tried to aim for plausibility. So yeah, a lot of digging in the texts and just trying to make sure, especially with things I don't have a ton of background in, like animal science and stuff. Yeah. There's a couple of times where I was like, oh, it'd be cool if this thing was like this. And then I was like, actually, it would be a crab.
Yeah.
It would just be a crab.
Because I know how to ride a crab. I get it.
Well, and because everything is a crab. If everything becomes a crab, it's called carcinization. And things just, as time goes on, tend to become crabs. We've had crabs completely evolve on their own, separately, not related in lineage at all, a bunch of times on Earth. And so if you're what would be a big dumb animal that they would be farming here, it's probably a land crab.
Yep, there you go.
Gertie, stop this. What are you doing here?
Crustaceans will conquer the world. I hope not. I'm allergic to them. That would be very
Oh no.
bad for me. that would be my end right there.
Don't go to Ilex. It's all crabs, man.
I was like, why not octopus or anybody in their family? Okay, we're gonna go with crabs.
Octopus is a good one too. I did I thought about that kind of mollusky sort of situation, and I just wasn't sure. I needed something to be on the land, and I wasn't sure how to make something big enough that was squashy, that wouldn't just get with gravity that's more or less comparable to Earth. It's a little bit less than ours because Ilex is smaller than Earth by a bit. But something squashy would need some kind of rigid structure to hold it together. So
well, I definitely like that. Yeah, right now, interestingly enough, I just started watching the series The Expanse. So, some of their things that they focus on, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could probably poke holes in if you really want to, sure. But I did like the fact that they talked about really early on the idea of people who are born in space and people born in Earth and the density of their muscles and bones and the difference of the zero-G environment versus that. And that's something to consider. At least that's one of their things. That's a big topic because, someone else who writes another different kind of fantasy could just totally ignore it, and that's totally fine too. It just depends on what you want to make note of value and bring up and make your readers aware of so that they're pondering these things. But yeah, that's kind of cool. And oh my goodness, I'm gonna blah blah blah. I can't even read right now. The Gargans from Teenagers from Outer Space. I don't know this reference. Oh no, it's okay. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I gotta look. I'll have to look that up. Are they crabs? Are they crabs, Robert?
I was like, we're talking about crab people. But that would probably be the case. But yeah, that's so, now I'm gonna just see space crabs in my mind for a while to come.
Super likely.
I'm trying to write whatever book, and I'm gonna come up with space crabs. Maybe I can put this in my future D&D meets Witcher story. Let's space crabs.
Crabs. Yeah, a meteor lands, and then it's just Gerard. Gerard just has to deal with the crabs.
Giant bat protected lobster. Okay, lobsters. See,
yeah, close enough.
It would be my end. Too funny. Anywho, so let me ask you, when did your first book publish? You said you have one out. When were you able to release that book? I'm refocusing it.
So I this is probably going to be funny to you. It's because you have a lot more experience releasing books, but I completely botched my release. I didn't give out ARC books. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I'll have copies that I can give away. And I somehow didn't realize that no, I wouldn't. I needed to actually finish the book to have them. It didn't click. I had never done it before. So I meant to release the book on Thanksgiving. And somehow when I was doing the final KDP things and there's the little pop-up calendars, I clicked the 28th for the paperback and then the 29th for the ebook. So, and I backed out of the thing and it wouldn't let me change it. Yeah. Or it would have let me change it, but then there's a 72-hour waiting. Mm-hmm. So, and then I was doing this the day before. So. Oh yeah. But so I released the book on Thanksgiving last year.
It's okay. I'm the worst at book releases. I'm always trying to teach myself to be better, but that my first book, I did everything the wrong way, and it's surprisingly been the book that since then, in figuring things out, has done superbly. But just trying to learn things, and especially as an indie author, if you don't know what you don't know. If you were like me, then didn't really have a big indie author community to kind of network with, you're just trying to figure things out as you go. And so, what you did was not a big botch of anything. Yeah. It's what happens. And I mean, one thing is when I started getting into audiobooks, I accepted the fact that when it comes to Audible side of things, they release it when they want to release it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea.
Everybody else is scheduled, but they're like, no, it's whatever. So you're never going to have that same timestamp across the board for stuff like that. And it's always irritating. My eye could twitch and I could be like, but it's just part of the course.
I actually have no idea about how to use ACX. So one of the things that is in my story is I have a conlang. I actually went ahead and built, it's not a great conlang, but for the language for Threllan. And the trouble is it's polyphonic and includes sounds that we actually can't. I mean, you could make them, but you wouldn't be able to also be making vowel sounds and things at the same time. So I'm going to call upon my background in electronic music and stuff to fix it in post, basically. But I don't know how to, so I think I actually have to record it myself. And then I was thinking I might release it just on Bandcamp. I guess because I'm a musician. So everybody I know always just puts things on Bandcamp. I don't know if I guess maybe that's probably a bad idea. One vote.
You can always try and then tweak it later, but just most things, not everything, I will let you know. But most things you could try releasing something a little different, and then if it doesn't work, you can adjust it going forward and put it somewhere else, and play around with it. For audiobooks, I was using ACX predominantly in the beginning, just them. But since then, as of this beginning of this year, two of my series, audiobooks from two of my series, I pulled out and distribute them wide so people can find them on, library systems and Spotify and stuff like that, and playing around with things. But again, it's a learning thing. You're trying to see what works best and adjust and go. And I agree with Robert that says indie publishing keeps changing. It does. You blink and there's just something new.
Yeah.
Try.
Do you record your audiobooks, or do you work with narrators, or?
I work with narrators. I've tried everything but self-recording. I have one series, my YA series, that has a female narrator. I have one series that's just a male narrator, and then my shifter series, my new adult ones. The first one is a full cast with sound effects, everything like that. The second one's going to be two narrators working with each other.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's a long story, but it's with multiple people. So it's kind of fun just playing around, seeing what I'm learning as I go and figuring out what I like and what I don't like. And hopefully one day I will be an expert.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds awesome to me. I feel like I would love, I talk about Sherlock Holmes a lot. I love the old Sherlock Holmes radio plays, like the BBC radio plays with the sound effects and a big cast and stuff. I don't know how I will affect that myself all by myself. Like I've been practicing making different voices and stuff. And it is like a special trauma to hear an hour of your own self talking. Especially if there's like,
I was like, I have not tried, but I have to listen to some authors that have done their own narration, and it is fascinating to hear their journeys and what they've figured out and how they do it. But it's, again, another learning curve. But you, with the music background, sound background, you probably have maybe some of that equipment you would need. Like I would have to start from scratch, and learn so much. So no, I'm gonna just pay a professional.
Yeah, the main thing I don't have, I have no way to get a clean capture here. Mm-hmm. It's not a super old house, but it has 2 kids in it. So I guess I would need to make some kind of makeshift sound booth for myself. It wouldn't be too hard to just knock something together that I could use at night.
Some people, someone I saw who's a professional narrator originally, at least one point, had like a big closet at her house, and then she just set that up so she could close it off, and that was her sound recording space, and just padded it up. So you can that's something to figure out. Let's see. I see comment says, if you need an odd voice actor, I would be thrilled to offer a voice. See, there you go.
Great. I might take you up on that, man.
I also have heard people put just, the question out there. Now, some people, obviously, the professionals would want to be compensated, but just saying, hey, I'm trying to do this thing and I need a couple voices. Would you be interested? You never know.
Yeah. Well, I even had the thought, like, I could ask a professional. I'm actually, like, budgetary concerns aside, I'm not opposed to trying to coach somebody through, like, the conlang situation, because otherwise that's the only concern I have, because it will be hard. The thing that I wonder is if it would be, I just noticed a sagging tile, sorry. I wonder if it would be considered gauche to be like, could I have your audio files, because I actually need to do processing on sections here or something, or can I have like these sections of your audio files? I don't know if that's
that would be okay. It just depends, as long as you're clear before you sign contracts.
We would have to talk about
having that, because I've been very fortunate that I've worked with narrators, and some of them we've gone back and forth on things and nitpicked some things. Now other ones don't like that and will say, you get one time to listen here and you get one time at the end, and that's it. And it just depends on the particular narrator and what you've pre-agreed on. So just make sure you're very clear on all that kind of stuff. So
that's actually why I ended up doing like my cover art myself and drawing myself. Like I am not trained in
your book, by the way?
Huh? Do I have you know what?
I forgot to ask that earlier. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. You know what? I don't.
Okay, you don't have one. I didn't think about it until just now. I was like, wait, let me ask, since you mentioned the cover.
That's so funny. I was trying to remember to get a copy to bring it down here. But I was like also managing dinner and stuff, and then I realized like, I don't have a charging cable. So then my like moment to go grab the book got replaced with making sure I had a cable here. But I did the cover art, and I also illustrated all the chapters, and there's like a random like one other image in the front of the book too that I just had, and I was like, well, I might as well put it in. I can do what I want.
I like that. Yeah, no, like I said, I am an artist, but I just do very different kind of art that I don't know if I would be outside of maybe Max. That's my one thing. I don't know if I would be comfortable doing my own art for my own books at this point in time.
Yeah.
But it is, I know people who are super talented and can do it, and y'all.
I'm definitely not super talented, but however untalented it is, at like it's all canon compliant. that was the big thing, because I'm like, I would be the worst client ever. Like the amount that I would need to pay another artist to make sure that we're not accidentally contradicting canon, or contradicting canon that hasn't become canon yet. That's like later, within the story time, we'd be looking at 38 years later potentially. Wow. So I had to make sure that there's and if you ever go and look at that art, like you can tell like I'm out of my depth in some of it, but there's also some parts that have a lot of detail in little areas that it does matter later on.
I see people saying that you're very talented. just it depends. I think art is for, everybody sees art and translates it differently. So, what you may be very hypercritical of yourself. Someone else may think it's the most fabulous thing. So understand that. I know when it comes to the writing and artist side of my brain, there's certain things I want it to look like, and if I'm not capable, that's when I'm like, help, because I want a certain look and I need it, and trying to then get it that's the trick. Yeah. But let me ask, because the hour's starting to slip on by, there are a couple things I try to ask every time because of this platform's nice. Most of the time it is. A couple of times there have been weird glitches. But I'll repurpose this on my YouTube channel and put all your contact information down below for people to find and follow you in the future.
Oh, great.
Now, with that said, where right now, outside of Book Talk, do you like to hub? If you are anywhere else, do you have a website? Do you have a newsletter? Are you on other socials? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so my website is AS Miyasaki, the same as this guy right here, .com. I'm AS Miyasaki everywhere. Instagram, Threads, if you want to just like see me randomly scream into the void several times a day, you could follow me on Threads, I guess. I can't imagine anybody actually wants to do that. I'm on YouTube, AS Miyasaki also. So I think we should try to make YouTube happen. Like, can I plug YouTube? I think we should try to make YouTube happen, because I'm not sure what's happening with here in the future, Well,
that's the thing. It's like, it's always good to diversify to an extent. Obviously, you don't want to push yourself to the point where it's like me and you have to be on all the things, and then you're like, have 2 minutes to do anything. But YouTube is something that's really interesting. I know with shorts, it's one thing, again, that repurposing. Anything I post here, I'll try, if it makes sense, I'll repurpose it there. Anytime I have these lives, I try to repurpose it there. So it's a lot of repurposing, but there does share some similarities between that. So
yeah, I've noticed in the last, I feel like couple weeks or so, on my author account on YouTube, like not my just like regular scrolling, noodling around account, but like my author account on YouTube, the shorts feed has become very similar to the old TikTok feed, I would think, like the one maybe from a while back.
Yeah.
But
that's something I'm aware of too. So again, purpose. Make
the cross posting.
The opposite way of beauty is, make your life easier. That's the whole thing. Batch it, repurpose. That's my goal. And down the line, if I hit that number, I think it's 1,000 followers. YouTube is something I'm only just started focusing on within the past year, I think, just trying to see if I could actually grow it. But if I hit that threshold, that's when I think I'm going to drop one of my audiobooks for free on there and see how it goes. But I'm waiting to hit, that threshold. And there's a certain threshold that would make more sense. But anywho, one thing for the future. Now, also let me ask, where can people get your book, and in what format is it available? So, are you exclusive through Amazon? Do you sell direct? Are you wide? That kind of thing.
So the print book is available wide. You can get it. You can pick it up on Amazon. You can pick it up from anywhere that Ingram Spark distributes to. So that's like Barnes and Noble, libraries, small bookstores. The ebook, I have it on the Kindle Unlimited. I kept trying to say Kindle Express. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so the ebook's only on Amazon. But if you have that, then it's free. And I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that or not. Probably just because it's easier, but it would be, the thing with that is that then you're going to get in big trouble if you try to release the ebook anywhere else.
Yep.
It's in like chunks of it. And actually it's kind of frustrating, because I noticed the other day that they have I think the first 3 chapters in the book sample on the listing. I'm like, really?
Yeah, they choose, and I don't remember if it's a percentage or a number now of chapters, but yeah, to give a sample, and can be bizarre. As for me, and here's one of the things, it's the nice things. If you want to take it wide, you go out of your, I think the 90-day agreement, whenever it folds, you can take it wide. Obviously, you have to do all that kind of setup, and that's time and energy. But if you don't like it wide, you can pull everything down and revert it. People will play back and forth to see what works for them, too. And you have that opportunity to do that. I took my books wide. I I think that was also at the beginning of this year when my last of my ebooks finally all went wide. So then I could also sell them directly and have them distributed widely. It was just something I wanted to do because I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. But depending on your genre and what you write and your following, sometimes it makes more sense to be in KU. So you have choices. All the choices. All the choices in the world. Let me ask you, as well as anybody else listening in as well, because this is my third question. Here's my brain. It's hitting that 8 o'clock moment. Okay, so my question I'd like to ask is there any topic you wanted to cover that we didn't get to cover, or any question that you wanted to ask that you haven't asked yet? And this can go for anybody listening in as well. It's that wonderful time to make sure we cover it all.
I think I can talk about lore and continuity and stuff forever. That's neither here nor there, really.
Yeah, lore is fantastic and fascinating. How do you keep all that? How do you keep track of all that? There we go. That's
here's so maybe something that is unusual about my book is that I included a 40,000 word glossary at the end of it. So the book itself is a novel length. It's about, I think, 88,000 words, 85, something like that. And then the supplementary materials are substantial at the end of that. And
you're like Tolkien with like all that back matter and stuff.
And I wrote a letter to the reader before it. I was like, you don't have to read this part. Like, you don't have to. Only read it if you're a sickie like me. But I felt like it's convenient in case something gets lost in translation or something, you need to look something up again. But also I had it. I already had it. I already had it alphabetized because that's how I keep track. I have a running timeline that I have. It's not terribly organized, but there is stuff that's already set in stone. Like things that are already published are kind of set in stone. And then I have the glossary. And right now that I'm on the second book, I have another glossary file for that. I don't know if I will include the glossary, another glossary in the second book or not. But on my website, the whole thing is available. The whole glossary is available for free. Don't tell Amazon, but the whole glossary is there and it's alphabetized. It's actually pretty convenient to use because I'm so proud of this. I figured out how to make a little alphabet button bar thing that sits at the top no matter where you are in it, and you can click like A, B, C, D, E all the way through.
I see a lot of chatter about how people have really enjoyed your glossary.
I have been surprised that people actually seem to like it because I thought people were going to hate it.
All I could think of is, again, these kind of alternative and supplementary materials where, like, you could have this, take that information, maybe flesh it out here and there, and then turn it, instead of a glossary style, but a hello, explorer, get ready to, delve into whatever verse, as we kind of mentioned, like whatever, universe you're delving into, and have like almost an explorer's journal as a supplementary thing, and just package it as an extra different kind of book you could have out or give out or...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely more even than a normal glossary would be. There are world building chunks and side questy kind of things in there. There is also maybe a surprise for anybody who's intrepid enough to get to the end of the glossary.
Love that. Do you know, as you're working on the next books in the series, do you have any idea of when you're going to, or your goals for release of the second book? I don't know.
I'd wanted to get it out about now, in about a year from the first one. But as it stands, maybe it's a third of the way written. I mean, it's ending up being quite a bit longer, which is why I think I might have to leave the glossary out of it, or only include new or changed entries. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure how to go about that. But yeah, it's looking like probably minimum 7 or 8 months out before the next book, maybe longer. Just especially there's a lot of things up in the air. So it could be, just in life, with the world, everything. So could be put off for a bit, but I am working on it. So that's the main thing. It's
don't push yourself to be anything faster than it's supposed to happen, because one of my favorite author friends on here, he has 2 books and a novella released, and they're big books. And they are phenomenal, like absolutely amazing, complex, rich stories. But it takes him years to write. And when you read them, you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
They're really good and really deep and really immersive. So, don't try to rush it if it means it's going to give a poor quality work. So
yeah.
If it takes a few years, it's fine. Your writing pace may pick up, it may not. It's okay.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm hoping for, because otherwise I'm going to be doing this for decades. But I think as the kids get older, there will just be more time to do it. Right now all of my spare time is Taekwondo, Cub Scouts, gymnastics.
Yeah, I can do that. And again, that goes back to the fact that it just speaks to the fact of how passionate you are about this project. When you have all that going on that could be keeping you from writing it, you're still finding bits of time to be like, okay, I'm putting so many words on paper. I'm going to be editing this thing. Yeah. I'm going to be, setting up the glossary, all that kind of stuff. Because that speaks to, again, your passion for this. So that's great.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
And yes, writing process itself is the juice.
Yeah, definitely.
It definitely can be. And no, that's really cool. So since we don't have a image of the cover, when you said your cover was definitely true to canon, what can someone who's watching this that doesn't see the cover expect? I mean, obviously I'll put your information down below so they can find you as well as, on your website, but what can they expect your cover to kind of look like?
So the cover is it's a dark cover. I did it on Procreate. So the style though is sort of oil painting-y, I think. It's just Ferritin shortly after he woke up down there, sort of realizing the predicament that he's in, looking up at a little patch of light that's coming down from the
opening scene. Yes, that's pretty cool. And it goes from there.
Yeah.
I think that's neat. I definitely think that's neat. And but no, I was gonna say that's so amazing how you not only wrote your first book, but like you said, it's 80,000 words plus the glossary. So that's pretty good, I have to say. And then when you go to the fact that you're having this huge series that's getting larger and larger, that's impressive too. I mean, I'm okay, but then again, I'm that fantasy person. I'm okay if your books get bigger each time, Yeah. I'm just saying, throwing it out there. Until you hit that marker, I think it's like, depending on your printer, like around 1,000 pages. Yeah. That's the problem. When you can't
right.
Get together, that's the problem.
Yeah, the fear that I have is that I will end up maxing out the capacity at KDP and Ingram. So I just have to decide what I want to do with that. I think as long as the dimensions, the height and width stay the same, I think it would look all right on the shelf if it was like a novel and then like the shorter ones and then another one.
Yeah, you can get. I think that's fine. But again, I'm not one of those that's so picky about the size of spines when it comes to other people's series. Yet, when it comes to my own, that's when I get picky. Because as I said, I had a novella series that I wrote, and I waited to publish them in print versions until I could bind them in sets of 4, because I did want to have enough of a spine where you could see it across, the room.
Yeah.
That was me being judgmental on my stuff. So if you could, this will be my last question. So if you could write actually no, I have a better one for you. Wait, hold on. You mentioned that you got a master's in music. What was it?
Composition.
Have you ever considered doing something with music in relation to your book? As in maybe coming up with a composition and putting it in as a second, a special thing, or creating something, putting on your YouTube that readers could go and listen to or something. Because that is what you studied and you have your master's in. I'm just curious.
So I can answer that really easily. So there are a few different music tracks that I use on all of my short videos. Lately on like I do this little pick-a-page series. I've been just using like whatever lo-fi the TikTok recommends. But I have written a few different pieces for this book to use with the promotional stuff. And probably my favorite one is just a septet for winds, because that's what I have. I'm a wind player. And so I think there's 3 tracks of saxophone, 2 tracks of clarinet, and then guitar and uke. I forget what the 7th one is on that. But that is, if anybody's interested in checking out, I think it's still pinned at the top of my page. It's the time-lapse drawing for the cover art, and it's the music that I used for that.
That's cool. Hey, if you do decide to go all the way through and make your own audiobook, you can come up with your own music, theme music.
It's all my IP. I can do what I want.
That is so cool. I was gonna say again, I'm not talented in those areas, so I think that's awesome. And again, I see more and more chatter about amazing space opera and the linguistics of some of the languages. Maybe asking about that. Let me see. Oh yeah, maybe putting something about that. Yeah, that would be kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
To learn about the background languages of your peoples.
Yeah, at some point I will eventually probably make a proper dictionary for this. Like I said, the only actual functional conlang that I have is Threlin. I reference other ones. I kind of hint at grammar for them and declensions and stuff, but I haven't actually fleshed it out. I just wanted to make it look like I could. But the Threlin is a functional language. And the problem is that the dictionary that I have for it, the grammar that I have for it, is a nightmare file in Pages right now. And it's as close to straight chicken scratch as you can get in a word processor document, with just like arrows that I made with like the dash button and like the arrow hotkey and stuff. It's a mess. So, but at some point I would be, if nothing else, in English to Threlin to English thing. I was trying to figure out how to do it on my website. Like some of the conlangs from like Star Trek and Star Wars, the fans have put those together. And I'm like, it'd be great. It would be like if fans would just put this together.
If you could figure out how to string, some of that language together, you could put it on a bookmark and then for your fans, so then they have to translate whatever it says. But I don't know to what extent, like how hard it is to like translate, or if it's fairly obvious what it is. But you could put some kind of quote or something in that language on a bookmark for some fans.
Yeah, what I should say is I have no written language for it. It's all Romanized still, so I haven't had time to work out.
That's okay.
The written language. I get really hung up on notational stuff from music, and so the vowels in it change. This is like the same as like Italian or Spanish does the same thing, but like the vowels change with tense and case and number, and it recognizes single, two, and an unknown quantity. So it's. I have to work it out. I haven't actually started sketching it yet. I've just been thinking about what I want to do with it. But
thanks to projects of the future, I love it.
Yeah, that's a future me problem. Future me.
I have so many projects for future me. It's crazy. It's wild. But thank you so much for hanging out with me this past hour. It's been so nice to be able to talk to you and learn about your universe and the characters you're writing. And that's been a lot of fun. So really, truly, thank you for taking the time to come out and chit chat with me for this last hour.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for having me on. This is a great experience and really kind of you to put together.
Of course. And if you ever want to do another one of these, I plan them in advance. But But feel free to let me know, and we can get back and chit-chat some more about your books and your writing and wherever you are at that point in time. But like I said, I'll try to repurpose this, and I'll let you know if I'm able to on YouTube and put all your information down below if that's the case. But I hear my dogs pacing behind me. That is the sign that it is 8 o'clock, and it's there to go out.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. I hear the stomping children up above. They must go to the bed.
Perfect time, then. It's perfect time. Thank you, everybody.
And it was good seeing everybody down in the comments. Bye, Alechka. Bye, Saraya. Bye, Robert. Good seeing you.
Next time, everybody. Bye. Happy reading.
Bye. Thank you.